Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast Special Edition Show, the 2022-23 NBA Predictions Show. We are going to wing this, and if it goes into the start of the Yankees-Guardians game, that would be not great, but we'll deal with it anyway because this predictions show has to be done by tonight. All right, so we'll start with the standings, and we'll start in the Eastern Conference. My pick to be the number one seed in the Eastern Conference this year is the Philadelphia 76ers. I have them 57-25 on the season. I think that this is going to be the best regular season team in the league this year. The home crowds are going to be electric. Joel's going to have a great year. Harden, I think, is going to be a different type of player, but not necessarily a bad player per se. Tyrese Maxey's going to get better. Matthias Thybulle didn't get that extension, but I think he's going to have a big year. So I'm high on this Philly team for the regular season. Coming in second East, I have the record of 54-28, the Milwaukee Bucks. No Chris Middleton to start the season. That's not great, but they have the best player in basketball in Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is great. Drew Holiday's still great. Their depth, I think, is better with some guys getting better on that team and some of the veterans they have. In fourth in the East, I have the record of in third East, I have the record of 52-30, the Boston Celtics. Boston is the favorite to win the title this year on FanDuel and DraftKings. And I don't know if I agree with that per se, but they still have that great core that made the finals last year. They added Malcolm Brogdon to that core to go with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Marcus Smart. And their bench I really don't love per se. But Brogdon's going to be a part of that unit. It looks like the starting unit's going to be Smart, Brown, Tatum, Horford. Oh, Rob Williams once he comes back from that injury. Or maybe Peyton Pritchard. They have some options, Boston does, in their starting lineup. But right now, it's slated to be Smart, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and Horford. I forgot about Derek White. And then Brogdon off the bench. My number 4 seed pick in the Eastern Conference with a record of 51-31. Toronto Raptors. Yes. I thought about Cleveland for this. I thought about Brooklyn. Thought about some other teams for the 4th spot, but I'm going with Toronto. They had a promising year last year. Scotty Barnes is in year 2. They go with their core of Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. They like the young center, Precious Achiuwa. So this is a really solid team. Nick Nurse is a good coach. Championship coach. 51-31, I have them going in the regular season. In 5th and East, I have the record of 49-33, the Brooklyn Nets. The potential of injuries on this team is why I kept them out of the top 4. Kyrie Irving is back. Kevin Durant is still with the team after demanding a trade and taking it back. Ben Simmons, we'll see what they get from him. Joe Harris back from injury. Seth Curry's not going to start the season with the team. Unfortunately, he's hurt. Their depth I really don't love, and I think that could hold them back in the playoffs. In 6th, I have, with the record of 47-35 in the East, the Cleveland Cavaliers. I like this Cleveland team a lot. I thought about picking them 4th, as I mentioned earlier. They acquired Donovan Mitchell from the Utah Jazz to go with Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen. That's a great young foursome right there. They have some depth. Kevin Love coming off the bench. Crazy to think that Kevin Love has been there for a long time now. In 7th in the East, I have the record of 45-37. This was a team that was the 1 seed in the East last year. That's the Miami Heat. I just think that there's so much unknown with this team in terms of its depth. Kyle Lowry, to me, is a player in decline. Butler and Bam are still there. They're the core 2 of that team. Just too many question marks. Duncan Robinson, what happened to that guy? That Lowry trade looks really bad, and they probably should have went for somebody like Donovan Mitchell or Shai Gilgeous-Alexander instead of going with the veteran Lowry. But I really think that the Heat are going to take a big step back this year. In 8th and East, I have the record of 45-37, the Atlanta Hawks. This Hawks team made the conference finals 2 years ago. I think that they're a team that's a little bit too top-heavy as well. DeJounte Murray, they acquired from San Antonio to pair up with Trae Young in the backcourt. DeAndre Hunter, John Collins, Clint Capella supposedly rounding up the starting five. I like Onyeka Okongwu. I think he's going to improve. Hunter's going to get better. He just got paid. The Holiday guy's off the bench. But I do like this team, but Bogdanovich is hurt. That's a problem. I do like the names of the depth players on paper, but I just think that there's a lot of questions at the Murray fit and whatnot, so I penciled them in for 8th in the East. And the East is better as a whole. In 9th place in the conference, I have the record of 44-38, the New York Knicks. I think this is a bounce-back team in the East, a team that missed the playoffs a year ago. I think they'll be back in for the second time in 3 years. RJ Barrett, I think, is poised for a big season. I think that Julius Randle will be better than he was last year, but not as good as he was 2 years ago, per se. Jalen Brunson was a big add in free agency. I think some of their young guys like Obi Top and Emmanuel Quickley will get better as well. Tom Thibodeau, to me, is the big question. And to me, he's a coach that's on the hot seat, per se. And if there was a first coach fired pick in the NBA, I don't know if I'd pick Thibodeau, but it wouldn't be completely stunning if it was Thibodeau. 10th place with a record of 41-41, the Detroit Pistons. I think this is the final play-in team. I really like the young nucleus on this team led by Cade Cunningham. And I really like Sadiq Bey, the two rookies they have, Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren coming in. They trade for Bojan Bogdanovic from Utah. And Dwayne Casey's a coach that's had success in the regular season in the past, and that's another head coach that I think is in trouble. Number 11 is Chicago Bulls. I have them out of the postseason. I have them at 39-43. The loss of Lonzo Ball to start the year is huge, and there's a chance he's out for the whole season. I don't know if DeMar DeRozan will be as good as he was last year. They do get Patrick Williams back, which is good. Nikola Vucevic, I don't know if that was the right fit. Zach LaVine. He's really good. Donovan's another one I think is in trouble, low-key. Because this is still the Chicago Bulls owned by Jerry Reinsdorf, who's not one of the best owners in sports at all. So that wouldn't surprise me if he's out at the end of the year if this is their placement. 12th in the East, I have the record 35-47, the Orlando Magic. I'm high on this team from a long-term standpoint. They have so many young players that I like. Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, obviously the rookie Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr., they stole him in that Bulls trade. Franz Wagner was one of the picks that the Bulls gave up. Well, it turned out to be him. So this is a franchise on the rise, but I decided to go with Detroit over them for the playoffs. And the reason why I have them 12th in the East, other than the fact that the conference is loaded, is because Jonathan Isaac's still coming back from that injury. Markelle Fultz is going to be out a while. So they have some roster and player injury stuff to take care of here. So that's that. In 13th in the East, I have the record of 32-50, the Washington Wizards. I am not a super fan of this Wizards team at all. Bradley Beal, to me, just stole money, and he's going to probably get traded either this season or the off season or next year. Kristaps Porzingis, they're banking on to look like the guy he was with the Knicks several years ago. People are already writing off the rookie Johnny Davis, which is a bad sign. Monty Morris is their starting point guard. They made that trade with Denver in the offseason, which I didn't like for them. Although I do like Will Barton. And Kyle Kuzma could be a guy on the move as well. All right, now we're getting into the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. We have the number 14 team in the conference, the Charlotte Hornets. They're 24-58 as my projection. They have LaMelo Ball, but not much else. James Bouknight, lottery pick from last year. They're banking on him to get better. Gordon Hayward's probably going to be traded, as will Rozier. So this is like a blow-it-up potential team other than LaMelo. And in the bottom of the conference, I have the record of 20-62, the Indiana Pacers. And one thing with Charlotte for a second, they bring back Steve Clifford as their coach, who they fired 4 years ago. So Indiana, I have a 20-62. To me, this roster's built to trade. To me, the only keeper is Tyrese Halliburton. They'll definitely trade Buddy Hield. They'll definitely trade Miles Turner. TJ McConnell, I could see being traded too. Durate and Mathurin are, I think, keepers too. Jalen Smith, if he is good for them, he'll be traded as well. Daniel Tice is a trade bait guy as well. Rick Carlisle is apparently in the head coach GM role. Although they say he's just the head coach, but he might be like in the dual role like Doc Rivers was several years ago with the Clippers and what Tom Thibodeau was in with Minnesota. In the Western Conference, I have in first place with a record of 56-26 the Denver Nuggets. This Denver team is absolutely loaded. Nikola Jokic, two-time reigning MVP. You get Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray back. Those are big boosts for them. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, I think, could be an upgrade in their lineup. I like Aaron Gordon. They have a really good bench. Bruce Brown, good pickup. Bones Highland, 6th Man of the Year candidate. I like the rookie Christian Braun. I'm not a big DeAndre Jordan fan, but they can upgrade backup center. And to me, Mike Malone is a guy that if he doesn't make the finals this year, could be out the door. Number 2 in the West, I have the record of 53-29, the Golden State Warriors. Obviously, you're reigning champion. Got to give respect to the team that won the title. A lot of people think that this team's going to take a step back. I disagree. The Draymond stuff seems to have blown over. They extend Jordan Poole. Obviously, Stephen Curry is one of the best shooters ever, if not the very best shooter ever. Klay Thompson's still there. Andrew Wiggins coming off his the moment of his life in the finals. Some make or break guys, like from a youth standpoint on this team, but some other guys are veterans that I like Dante DiVincenzo. Jordan Michael Green can help them. In third in this conference, I have the record of 51-31, the Los Angeles Clippers. There's a lot of expectations with the Clippers. I'm not the biggest Clippers supporter when it comes to winning the title because of the lack of health from a full season and playoff standpoint from Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. They could prove me wrong and shove it in my face. And I'm one of Kawhi's biggest fans, but I can't just keep banking on these guys to stay healthy. It's kind of like the Yankees a little bit in baseball, although they've stayed healthy a lot this season other than that 6 weeks collapse. And there's other examples in sports where you see this with teams, even the Lakers too. And then we're seeing it in football a little bit with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and then Dak Prescott for Dallas. But to me, this is the biggest wild card in the league from a health standpoint with this roster. Outside of the big two, Reggie Jackson, he's going to start at point guard. John Wall's brought in, but he's not the John Wall from the Wizards. Marcus Morris is still there. Nick Batum's a bench guy. Norman Powell I really like coming off the bench for them. Robert Covington's a backup center now all of a sudden. Zubac is still there. So they're deep, but to me, they have too many guys. In fourth place in this conference, I have the record of 50-32. The Minnesota Timberwolves. Yes. I'm big on this Minnesota team. I think they're going to be awesome. I think Anthony Edwards is going to be a big breakout star this year, just like John Morant last year. I think Karl Anthony Towns, Edwards will make him better. Edwards will make D'Angelo Russell look better. I don't know if necessarily he will be better. But to me, the biggest difference is the Rudy Gobert addition and how much improved that defense is going to be with Gobert. They did trade a lot of their depth away for Gobert, but I do like some of their depth. I like the rookie Wendell Moore Jr. They can upgrade a small forward, too, in a trade. I like Jaden McDaniels. I like Taurean Prince. Naz Reid's not bad. Bryn Forbes is a nice backup point guard. So they have some nice depth, and I really like their coach, too. In fifth in the West, I have a record of 49-33. The New Orleans Pelicans, yes. 2 surprises, 4th and 5th in the West. I love this New Orleans team. The addition of C.J. McCollum changed this team for the better, even though I felt at the time they overpaid in that trade. I like those 2 young guards, Alvarado and Herb Jones. They're both really good. Brandon Ingram's only going to get better. Zion Williamson, can't forget him. He's going to be back from injury this year. And Giannis Valanciunas is a really good starting center. And I like this team's depth as well. I like Trey Murphy off the bench as well. Devontae Graham had the career in Charlotte, but not much else. Dyson Daniels, the rookie, can see some minutes as well. And I like Larry Nance Jr. too. He was a big help on the Cavaliers and the Lakers back when he played on those teams. In 6th in the West, I have the record of 47-35. The Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies, to me, are going to take a step back. They have some injury issues that they're dealing with. Jaren Jackson Jr. is not going to start the year with the team, unfortunately, due to injury. Ja Morant's still Ja Morant. Danny Green, they got in the D'Anthony Melton deal. He's out for the season. Desmond Bane was a great player for them last year. Dylan Brooks looks to stay healthy. Power forward, to me, the depth behind Jackson is, to me, a little bit of an unknown. And Steven Adams is still at center for them. And they have a really good coach in Taylor Jenkins. In 7th place in the West, I have with a record of 46-36. Last year's 1 seed, the Phoenix Suns. Yes. So both 1 seeds I have in the play-in. That is a fall from grace for the Phoenix Suns. I just think there's a lot of turmoil there. Jay Crowder wants a trade. Obviously, you still got Devin Booker. He's still excellent. Chris Paul, to me, is a player in decline. Mikal Bridges is a player that's on the upswing. They did end up paying DeAndre Ayton, which was surprising. Cam Johnson is a guy that they like to see improve. Dario Saric, I like coming back for them as well. A lot of questions with the Suns and Monty Williams. In 8th in the West, I have the record of 45-37. The Dallas Mavericks. So they go from the conference finals to the play-in tournament. That's just a big downfall for Dallas. And it's not Luka Doncic's fault by any stretch of the imagination. He's single-handedly going to carry this team to the postseason or to the play-in tournament. And the depth around him is just bad. Jalen Brunson's gone. He's going to be a big addition for the Knicks. Tim Hardaway Jr. still around. Reggie Bullock's still there. Dorian Finney-Smith's still there. Christian Wood, will he be the same guy as he was with the Pistons a few years ago? That's a question. So a team full of questions for me in Dallas. And Jason Kidd is under a lot of pressure, I think. 9th place in the West with a record of 44-38, the Los Angeles Lakers. This record projection is based on the fact that I think they're going to make a trade of some sort. Russell Westbrook is still on the roster. LeBron James is still there, obviously, and got the big extension. Anthony Davis, they're looking for him to stay healthy and bounce back to the guy he was in the bubble. And they just have a lot of unknowns on their roster, including Westbrook. Patrick Beverley's on the team now. Thomas Bryant, is he going to show the upside that he showed in Washington? Austin Reeves, will he make a jump in year 2? Lonnie Walker was a bust with the Spurs. Dennis Schroeder's back with his team, but is he the guy that turned down all that $1 million contract, or is he the guy that we saw at the Celtics last year? So there's a lot of questions with the Lakers, but the good record projection, good meaning over 500 for them, is based on the fact that I think they'll make a trade of some sort. In 10th place in the West, I have with a record of 41-41, the Sacramento Kings. I love this Kings team. They were very good at the end of last year with Fox and Sabonis. Together, Keegan Murray's going to be one of the better rookies this year. I like Harrison Barnes. He's been on some good teams. The question for me is the shooting guard position. I'm not a big Kevin Huerter fan like most are. Malik Monk is a very streaky player. Davion Mitchell should be better for them. Rashawn Holmes coming back from the injury. 11th place in this conference, I have with a record of 32-50. The Portland Trailblazers, to me, this is a team in no man's land. I think this is a team that could go for Wembanyama, or a team that wants to stay in it, so I have them right in the center. They just have too much talent on this team to tank. So that's why I put them there. It's kind of like Orlando a little bit in the East and Chicago in the East. Although Chicago's, to me, going for the playoffs. But it's a lot of unknowns for me. Damian Lillard, obviously, is still Dame, but does he still want to be in Portland? Even though he signed that big extension? I mean, the only thing that's really changed from last year is that they went out and got Jeremy Grant from Detroit. But the question is, will Jeremy Grant still be on this team come February? Josh Hart's a guy I like. They got him in that trade with the Pelicans. There's some other guys that got in that deal that they need to step up. Shaedon Sharpe, the rookie, they want him to be good. And obviously, the elephant in the room is Chauncey Billups. Is he a real coach? 12th in the conference with a record of 24-58, the Houston Rockets. I like this Rockets team a lot from a young talent standpoint, but I just don't think that they're going to win a lot of games in terms of the rest of the conference and the higher-ups. I think Jalen Green's going to have a monster year, too. Alperen Sengun's going to be better. I like Jabari Smith. Eric Gordon, bounce-back season. They just paid Kevin Porter Jr. This is a nice mix of youth and some veterans. And Steven Salas, to me, is a coach that's coaching for his job as well. Number 13 in the West, I have with a record of 23-59, the Oklahoma City Thunder. This Thunder team, I think, is in the Wembanyama sweepstakes. Houston is too, but I just think they're, on paper, from a youth standpoint, a little bit better than that. I really think that they purposely are sitting Chet this season, knowing that they have a chance at Victor Wembanyama. Although Chet's hurt, they're saying he's out for the year. They just really want to tank. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to me, is a guy that I think they want to trade. I like Josh Giddey. I like Lou Dort. Alexis Pokusevski really hasn't lived up to expectations. They have two Jalen Williamses on this team. That's going to be funny to watch. Osume Deng is the guy they trade up for in that trade with the Knicks that I didn't like, but we'll see with him. 14th with the record of 20-62, the Utah Jazz. This team is going to be atrocious. They already traded Mitchell and Gobert. Mike Conley's next. Jordan Clarkson's next. Kelly Olynyk's probably next. Rudy Gay maybe too. But this team is going to be young players and players that don't want to try. This team is awful. Danny Ainge is doing the full Danny Ainge. It really didn't work for him in Boston at first, but the Brooklyn thing went so sour that they got both Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum because they traded away Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, which is crazy. But yeah, this team is going to be tough to watch. Colin Sexton's going to put up some great numbers on this terrible team. But they have two rookies I am interested in watching, in Walker Kessler and Ochai Agbaji. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is going to be interesting too. So will Jared Vanderbilt. And in the center of attention when it comes to tanking, the seller of the West, the seller of the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs, I have with the record of 18-64. This team is an atrocity. Greg Popovich might be the smartest man in America to trade away DeJounte Murray in a year where the best prospect since LeBron James is going to be in the draft. There's going to be some interesting young guys to watch in Devin Vassell, Josh Primo, Jeremy Schoen, Malachi Branham. Keldon Johnson's a guy that I think is probably gonna perform good stats for them. Jakob Poeltl could be trade bait for them. But this team is going to be awful. 18-64. All right. We'll start with the play-in tournament. We'll begin with the East and then do the West and then go to the playoffs. All right. The play-in tournament. I have the 8-seed Atlanta Hawks at the 7-seed Miami Heat. So, division rivals. These two teams met in the playoffs last year. The Heat beat them. And I think the Heat beat them again. Best player on the court will be Jimmy Butler. All right. The 9-seed New York Knicks hosting the 10-seed Detroit Pistons from the Garden. The Garden's going to be loud and rocking. I think that this Pistons team is going to be fun to watch. I just think New York has more talent, led by Jalen Brunson, R.J. Barrett, and Julius Randle. So give me the Knicks at home over the Pistons. And then the final playing game for the last playoff spot, the 8-seed Atlanta Hawks hosting the 9-seed New York Knicks. Playoff rematch from 2 years ago. I think that the best player on the court in this game could be Trae Young, but he just takes a lot of shots. And the Heat kind of exposed him in the playoffs last year, and I think the Knicks are going to be closer to the team that made the postseason 2 years ago than the team they were last year. And I'm going to go with the upset, the New York Knicks over the Atlanta Hawks in the play-in tournament. And then the West. 7-seed Phoenix Suns hosting the 8-seed Dallas Mavericks. So the conference finals rematch conference semifinals rematch in the play-in tournament. That'd be wild. Best player on the court will probably be Luka Doncic, but he's not on the better team. Give me Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and the Suns to advance. 9-seed Los Angeles Lakers hosting the 10-seed Sacramento Kings. This is going to be a fun game. First playoff game for De'Aaron Fox. Sabonis has been in the playoffs with Indiana, I think. I think he was on those playoff teams with the Pacers, a couple of them. With the year that Oladipo was on that team. I think Sabonis was on that team. But this should be an interesting game, and the best player on the court is going to be LeBron James, so give me the Lakers over the Sacramento Kings there. And then the final West play-in game, you have the Dallas Mavericks hosting the Los Angeles Lakers. So Luka against LeBron, that would be a lot of fun. But I'm going to go with another upset here. The Lakers are going to be a better team in the latter half of the season because they're going to make trades. Dallas doesn't, to me, have the depth for that unless they do make some trades. But I think the Lakers have more upside trades than the Mavericks do because the Mavs traded all those picks to get Porzingis and Christian Wood. So, give me the Lakers over the Mavs. So, the Mavs in the lottery and the Hawks in the lottery. It'd be so freaking weird. Well, the Clippers were in the lottery last year. Don't forget that. But their pick got went to OKC because of the Paul George trade. All right, first round of the playoffs. We'll start with the East. You have the 1-seed Philadelphia 76ers against the 9-seed here, New York Knicks. This would be an interesting matchup. Two Eastern Conference, two Atlantic Division teams. Best player in the series, Joel Embiid. They should take care of the Knicks. I'm going to say the gentleman's sweep. So Sixers over Knicks in 5. The 2-seed Milwaukee Bucks against the 7-seed Miami Heat. So this was a rematch of the bubble series. And this is a rematch of the playoffs 2 years ago. So now we have it in the first round. I think this would probably be more competitive than Sixers-Knicks, only because of the history between these two teams from the past. But it'll be in the same amount of games. I'm going to go with Giannis and the Bucks over the Heat in 5. The 3-seed in the East, the Boston Celtics against the 6-seed Cleveland Cavaliers. So upstart Cavs against the Eastern Conference champion Celtics. This should be a fun one, back and forth. I think the Cavs will show a lot of heart here, but the Celtics know how to win these types of series now, so give me the Celts over the Cavs in 6 games. 4-seed Toronto Raptors against the 5-seed Brooklyn Nets. This will be a fabulous series. These two teams had a 7-game series back in 2014, and the Brooklyn Nets won in 7 games. And guess what? I have the same exact outcome here. Kevin Durant, best player in the series, reminding people he's Kevin Durant. So go with the Nets over the less experienced Toronto Raptors in 7 games. Western Conference, 1-seed Denver Nuggets against the 9-seed Los Angeles Lakers. This would be an interesting series. Jokic against LeBron. New school versus old school in a way. But the better team is the Denver Nuggets, although I do think the Lakers are going to be a better team in April than they are right now. So give me the Nuggets in 5 over the Lakers. 2-seed Golden State Warriors against the 17 Phoenix Suns. So this is, this would have been the Western Conference Finals had the Suns not dealt with their COVID situation. But here I have them meeting in the first round. I think this is going to be a good series. But I think the reigning champs are the better team and have the best player in the series in Stephen Curry. So give me the Warriors over the Suns in 6. 3-seed Los Angeles Clippers against the 6-seed Memphis Grizzlies. I think this would be an excellent series. 2 teams that have experience. But I think the deeper teams, the Clippers, they'll be healthier by then. Best player in the series will be Kawhi. We've seen playoff Kawhi, so I'm going with the Clippers in 7 over the Grizzlies. And the last of the first round series is West 4-seed, the Minnesota Timberwolves against the West 5-seed New Orleans Pelicans. This would be a fabulous series. You have Anthony Edwards against Zion, so that's 2 of the last 4 first overall picks. And you have Karl Anthony Towns and CJ McCollum. A lot of subplots in this series. But because of home court, I think Minnesota wins. I'm going to go with Minnesota in 7 over the Pelicans. The semifinals. You have the Eastern Conference 1-seed Philadelphia 76ers against the 5-seed Brooklyn Nets. So it's Ben Simmons against the Sixers, and then James Harden against the Nets. The dream series that everybody wants. We have this projected in the semifinals. The Sixers, to me, are a really, really fun team. The Nets are going to be healthy by then. But I think that this could be a Ben Simmons choke job performance and the Kyrie Irving I'm out the door performance heading off to the Lakers type of game series. So Sixers over the Nets in 6. 2-seed Milwaukee Bucks against the 3-seed Boston Celtics. I think this will be a great rematch from the second round last year. Obviously, if Chris Middleton's healthy, the Bucks probably win the title. But Chris Middleton will be healthy this time around. I think this goes 7, but I think Milwaukee with home court and the best player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, will advance. All right, Western Conference 1-seed Denver Nuggets against the 4-seed Minnesota Timberwolves. I think this would be an entertaining series. You have Jokic against Towns in terms of big men, and then Anthony Edwards in the mix as well. Another promising Timberwolves season I have coming to a close, so give me the Denver Nuggets over the Minnesota Timberwolves in 6 games. And then, last but not least, the West 2-seed Golden State Warriors against the West 3-seed Los Angeles Clippers, one of the best rivalries in the NBA over the last 10 years. You have Steph Curry, you have Kawhi Leonard, you have Paul George, you have Draymond, you have Clay, you have Steve Kerr, Ty Lue. Obviously, those 2 coaches faced off in the NBA Finals several years in a row, so they know each other well. But the Golden State Warriors, to me, should win this series. Steph in the playoffs is just a magic show, and the Clippers tend to choke every once in a while. So, give me the Warriors over the Clippers in 6. And now the conference finals. Eastern Conference, 1-seed Philadelphia 76ers against the 2-seed Milwaukee Bucks. This is going to be a hell of a conference finals. You have Giannis against Embiid, which would be just amazing to watch. And so much veteran and star power on this team. You have Doc Rivers. You have Mike Budenholzer, two veteran coaches that both won titles. One's on the hot seat. The other one, I think the title is going to give him leeway for a while. Although if he didn't win that title, I feel like he's not coaching the Bucks right now. But the best player in the series is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Bucks in 6 over the Sixers to send the Sixers home disappointed yet again. And the Western Conference Finals, 1 seed Denver Nuggets against the 2 seed Golden State Warriors. This would just be a phenomenal series. You have Steph against Jokic. Obviously, this was first round last year and Golden State swept them, but it was just Jokic, literally. Now Jokic has his team back. Hopefully everybody's healthy by then. Denver, I think, is going to be a strong and deep team. I think Golden State's still very good as well. But because of the altitude and home ice, I think Denver, or home court, I think Denver wins this series. I'm going to go Denver over the Warriors in 7 games. And now the NBA Finals. I have the Western Conference 1 seed Denver Nuggets against the Eastern Conference 2 seed Milwaukee Bucks. This would just be a phenomenal series. You have Jokic against Giannis, which is an ultimate dream individual matchup. But you could argue Denver is a better roster right now than Milwaukee. But that good old saying, best player in the series usually wins. That'll come into fruition here, just like it did in 2020. I think Giannis does it again for the second time in 3 years. So give me the Bucks over the Nuggets in 6 games. And your finals MVP will be, of course, the best player in basketball, Giannis Antetokounmpo. So there you have it. The 2022-23 standings predictions with the Bucks over the Nuggets for my finals pick. All right, the last thing we're going to do in part 1 is going to be the awards and All-NBA and All-Star picks. MVP, I'm going to pick Joel Embiid of the Sixers. I have them finishing with the best record in the NBA. And I think Embiid will have the best season of his career. Runner-up, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Defensive Player of the Year, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Milwaukee Bucks. I think Giannis is going to be very motivated this season. I think he's going to really have his best defensive season yet. And I think he will get rewarded for it. And my runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go with Rudy Gobert of the Minnesota Timberwolves. 6th Man of the Year, Malcolm Brogdon, Boston Celtics. I love the idea of Brogdon coming off the bench. And the idea of him leading that Celtics second unit. So I'm going to go with Malcolm Brogdon for the 6th Man of the Year. Runner-up, I'm going to go with Bones Hyland of the Denver Nuggets. Most Improved Player. This was a hard one for me to pick. But I'm going to go with Cameron Johnson of the Phoenix Suns. He'll be starting at power forward now that Jay Crowder wants out. And I think Cam Johnson will make the most of his opportunity. He showed flashes last year. And I think he'll get rewarded for it this year. And my runner-up for Most Improved Player, I'm going to go with Detroit Pistons forward Sadiq Bey. Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with Orlando Magic big man Paolo Banchero. I really think Banchero is going to be Evan Mobley light for them. Although I do not see it resulting in a playoff berth this season. But I think Banchero is just going to be outstanding. And my runner-up, I'm going to go with Kings forward Keegan Murray. Coach of the Year, I'm going to go with Dwayne Casey of the not the Toronto Raptors, of the Detroit Pistons. This will be his first Coach of the Year award since he won it. Or did he win it with the Pistons that year? Or did they give it to Popovich? Because they rebounded from that finals loss. But I really think that Casey's going to have this team motivated and playing hard. So, giving Dwayne Casey for Coach of the Year, and my runner-up for Coach of the Year, I am going to go with Toronto Raptors head coach Nick Nurse, ironically enough. Executive of the year, I'm going to go with Daryl Morey of the Philadelphia 76ers. I think all of his moves are going to pay off for what is going to be his best team since that Rockets team that nearly beat the Warriors several years ago with Harden and Chris Paul. So I think Daryl Morey will get this award. And the runner-up for this award, I am going to go with Minnesota Timberwolves executive Tim Connolly, who I think reshaped that team a lot with the Gobert trade from a regular season standpoint. All-NBA first team, Stephen Curry, Paul George, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid. All-NBA second team, Luka Doncic, John Morant, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic. All-NBA third team, Trae Young, Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, Bam Adebayo. All-defense first team, Marcus Smart, Drew Holiday, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Rudy Gobert. All-defense second team, Paul George, Patrick Beverley, Mikal Bridges, Anthony Davis, Bam Adebayo. All-rookie first team, Jaden Ivey, Benedict Mathurin, Keegan Murray, Jabari Smith, Paolo Banchero. All-rookie second team, Dalen Terry, Shaedon Sharpe, Jeremy Schoen, Nikola Jovic, and Jalen Duren. All right, last thing I'm going to do in part one, I'm going to pick the All-Stars for this season. It's going to be interesting to see this season with both conferences being absolutely loaded. And there's going to be some injuries, so guys are going to get in because of injury reserves. So it's always usually the 5 starters and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reserves. So wait a minute. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, it's 12 because it's usually the starters and then the replacements. Or is it 7 and 2 wild cards? It's usually 2 wild cards. So yeah, it's 7 and then injury replacements. So the Eastern Conference starters: Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Jason Tatum, Trae Young, and that's a tough one for the last guard spot because the Western Conference is just loaded. The West is the loaded conference for guards. So what's going to happen is that I can see them cheating it a little bit, but I'm going to actually pick Donovan Mitchell to be the last starter. So that's not cheating. So it'll be Young, Mitchell, Giannis, Tatum, Embiid. Reserves: Kevin Durant, Evan Mobley, Drew Holiday, James Harden. So that is 2 guards, a forward, a big. Another forward I'm going to pick is Pascal Siakam of the Raptors. So that's 5. And wild cards. This is a fun one. We're going to go with Bam And this is going to be a very bold pick. Maybe it's a biased pick for me with the team I root for, but I think this kid's going to have a big season. He's going to have a big chip on his shoulder. And I think that a lot of fans are going to try to clamor for him to get in. New York Knicks forward R.J. Barrett. Or he's a guard. He's actually a guard, but he can play 3 as well. And then I think that there's going to be guys that get in for injured players, per se. And 2 picks to get in for injury replacements, or per se. Let's go with Jaylen Brown and Scotty Barnes. And in the West, this is always a hard starting lineup to pick in the West. Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, and Nikola Jokic. So that's 5 right there. So again, Curry, Doncic, Kawhi, LeBron, and Jokic. So reserves. For the guards, we'll go with Devin Booker and Paul George. The forwards, we're going to go with the better forwards are in the East. That's the problem. So I said Paul George and Devin Booker. Anthony Edwards. Duh. It's my guy. I think that there's a chance Wiggins gets in again, but I don't know if I have the guts to make that pick or not, per se. But I'm going to go with Brandon Ingram instead. And then Anthony Davis, I think, will make the All-Star team. Karl Anthony Towns will make the All-Star team this year. And then one more wild card. We are going to pick as a wild card C.J. McCollum. And injury replacements, let's go with Zion Williamson. And out of respect, Chris Paul. So there you have it as my picks for the All-Stars. And that ends part 1 of the 2022-23 NBA prediction show. Part 2 is going to be best rookies, most improved players, make or break players, disappointing players, comeback, bounce back players, bold predictions, and a lot more. Hope you guys enjoyed part 1, everyone.